Good morning, true crime friends. How y'all doing? Look, are you following this case? The state of Idaho, North Dakota, South Dakota. Child, you know I don't know where. The case of that place out west against Nichole Rice. Clutching all of my pearls. First, you know what you need to do. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. That helps other people find us. Also, find me on the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky. Okay, so look. The state of one of the Dakotas versus Nichole Rice. In case you don't know this case, let me just give you a skosh of background. Nichole is accused of unfortunately unaliving her roommate, Anita Knudsen, like 20 years ago or something, 18 years ago. And they couldn't solve the case, right? It was a very, very, very cold case. And then that TV show, Cold Justice, drove into town like some heroes on a white horse or whatever. And they went through all of the materials or whatever. And they were like, Nikki did it. Now listen, between me and you, the whole town was like, you know, Nikki didn't kill that girl, right? Everybody knew Nikki did it. But everybody was like, well, we just gonna act like we don't know. I don't know. So Cold Justice was like, she did it, and here's why. Now, this is what you need to understand in case you did not see the episode of Cold Justice. The episode of Cold Justice was called Lock Fits the Key, Key Fits the Lock, the door was locked, something about the door being locked. The door on their apartment had locks on it so that it locked from the inside and from the outside. So if you were going to leave, you had to get a key to unlock it. And if you were going to go in, you had to get a key to unlock it. And only the person who had, and when the body was found, the door was locked. And so only a person with the key could have, like, unfortunately unalived this girl and then locked the door back and then left. That's the whole premise. There was a whole bunch of other evidence and stuff, but it was all circumstantial evidence. So now the state has been like, okay, we have enough evidence. We're going to charge this Nichole Rice. Now, this is what you need to know about young Nichole. Number one, she's not young no more. Number two, she got the stank face. She got permanent stank face. And she does, while she's sitting there, full face origami, but all of her faces are sad faces. Variation on like super-duper sad to like lightly sad, but they all sad faces, all of them. I think maybe her face froze like that, poor thing. Anyway, so yesterday, her auntie got on the stand, and I was like, okay, the state is calling her auntie. Now, my aunties love me, I think. I hope your aunties love you too. But most family members, they're like, okay, maybe she's an unfortunate unaliver, but I'm going to take up for her, and I'm going to give plenty of the benefit of the doubt because this is my aunt that I love. So Nikki was just like, oh, I'm only going to do slight sad face today because I'm still real sad that my auntie is up there, but I don't know what this heifer going to say, right? She was looking a little nervous. Hang on. Now, there's things you'll tell your friends and there's things you tell your spouse, but then there's things you tell your auntie. The auntie secrets are like next level secrets. Your auntie, if you're close to your auntie, she knows all the stuff, right? All of the things. And reportedly, this auntie was like a second mother to Nichole. So I was like, okay. So auntie gets on the stand and I'm like, oh, come through, rich auntie. Now listen, I don't know about this woman's financial state, but most of the people over there in North Dakota, you know, I don't know where this is. I got to pull out a map. Anyway, she over there in North Idaho. That's the North Idaho region of the United States. So she over there, and rich auntie is just like, hello, the hair, gorgeous, glasses, Botox on point. The forehead was a little shiny. She could have used a little powder. But I was like, oh, she was giving every ounce of rich auntie. And then she started talking. I was like, oh, rich auntie, a little bit salty. I don't know what's happening here. She seems like she's not that happy. And she spent a lot of time puckering her lips. I was like, girl, you gonna mess up your good Botox. You better relax them lips. Just relax. So rich auntie gets on the stand. And she's like, yes, I don't want to be here. Nichole is my niece. And I loved her like my child. She and I were very close. And I was like, okay, so she's there under duress. I'm sure she's going to say some really, really lovely things about Miss Nichole. And she's like, well, Nichole did say one time that Anita deserved to die. Rich auntie, girl, tell us every single thing. Oh, you know all the stuff. Okay. What else she whispered to you? Because we hear, rich auntie, we want to know every single thing. And she was just, so meanwhile, Nichole, Eeyore, is up there like, she went to the full ugly cry. Child, she's crying like crazy. Like, I can't believe rich auntie is saying these things about me. My heart is entirely broken. Rich auntie was like, this happened and tore the family apart. I was like, row. I was like, wait, how are y'all related? Are your mothers, sisters? Because that's a whole different kind of relationship that if your parents are like brother and sister. Turns out Rich Auntie is related to Nichole's daddy. And I was like, oh, that's not the same relationship. But okay. So Rich Auntie gets up there and she was just like, well, ultimately at the end of the day, I just think it's time for justice. Rich Auntie thinks Nichole did it. That's not what she said, but that is the spirit of what she said on the stand. And I was like, okay, this don't sound good. So the defense attorney got up there. Please know, I do not like this defense attorney. He's just too slick for me. You know what I mean? He just feels like slick and slimy. But, and however, he is a very, very good defense attorney. The question that I have in my own mind is that, how is the jury seeing this dude? Is the jury looking at him like he's a defense attorney? He's just doing his job. He's too cute by half. Is he too slick? What is the situation? Or are they just like, here is a man who was doing his job? He seems like one of them dudes who's wearing like a shiny suit and he's chewing gum and his hair's a little too long. You know the type I'm talking about. Anyway, so the slick defense attorney gets up there and it's like, hi, Rich Auntie, welcome to the courtroom where you are saying mean things about my poor innocent client who's crying her behind off over there. Didn't you go to rehab? And I was like, oh, Rich Auntie girl, tell us about your pill problem. Rich Auntie tried to explain the situation, but the defense attorney was like, there is no question pending. I was like, he just gonna be out here slandering this woman on the stand. Rich Auntie, what was your drug of choice? I'm asking for myself because I'm real super duper nosy. And so, finally, he asked her all these questions that made her sound like she was a drunk, she was an alcoholic, she was doing all them narcotics. I'm like, oh, Rich Auntie is a narcotics enthusiast. Oh, she's one of them ladies who's like dipping pills in her martini and then popping them back. And so, but when the state got up to clean up the whole situation, Rich Auntie got to say her piece. And that is that I went to rehab for seizure activity. And I was like, oh. I forgot about the other kind of rehab. You know, there's rehab where like after you have a heart situation or you broke your leg or something, you do like physical rehabilitation. There's that rehab. And then there's, we go sit you in a nice softly padded room and do therapy all day kind of rehab. She didn't go to the padded room type rehab. She went to the like, we're going to fix your broken whatever type rehab. Oh, that's, okay. That's a totally different thing. Okay, thank you, Rich Auntie. Have a good day. And then Rich Auntie's husband got up there and he's like, I'm a farmer, but we own 2 houses. One of them is in a fancy place and I have a private plane. And I was like, oh, sir, you look like a farmer, but based on your wife, you rich uncle, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, he didn't say nothing good. So I was like, okay. He flew his wife to the rehab when she had a seizure and he saved her life and she's very grateful. And this is a second marriage for everybody. Okay, good for y'all. Hang on. Then the lead detective took the stand. And I'm like, now we're getting down to it. This lead detective, now, you're not supposed to judge people on their looks. And I don't. But I will comment on them. And she was just like very, something about her seemed just like very plain and very sad to me. Not that either there's anything wrong with either one of those things. There's absolutely not. But I was like, what's with this lady? She was like, hi, I am the lead detective and I have some information and I'm going to tell you what it is. And I was like, she just struck me as odd. I mean, it was a vibe and absolutely nothing to use against her, but I was like, what's going on with this lady? She's like, we reviewed all the suspects and the very badass the state's attorney got up there and was like, what about this and this and this and this? Ask all the questions. And they went through all of the suspects, every single suspect, all these alternate suspects that there could have been. And there was a lot of possible alternate suspects. And between the lead investigator and the prosecutor, they went through all the suspects and explained why all of these hapless idiots could not have been the one. Number one, some of them were no longer on this mortal coil. And then they explain, apparently, unfortunately, unaliving yourself is like a big thing out there. It's a real popular option. Everybody, please get some mental help. We need a better help code. Anyway, so a lot of people have unfortunately unalived themselves. One dude died of an asthma attack, you know, just like it's been 20 years. So life has happened. Life has been happening a lot. Life is really lifing out there in North Idaho, apparently. So they were like, okay, this one dude who was breaking into houses and he had apparently he was real bad at crime and he kept getting caught. Okay. Also, another one of the suspects was, they caught him. He's like, he couldn't have done this crime because he was busy someplace else doing another crime. He was busy breaking into somebody's kitchen. Ooh, snacks. What kind of snacks? He was at a hotel, and him and his friends broke into the hotel to steal food. Y'all real stupid. And got arrested. Like, if you're going to do that, that's bad enough. But then you're going to get caught. Nope. Then they were like, well, Nikki told different versions of her story. She had a lot of different versions. So many different versions that we had to create a chart. Wait. Y'all got a whole Churchwell chart of excuses that this lady came up with? Okay. Is it color-coded? Are there PowerPoint slides? Is it animated? Did you use pivot tables? I have questions. So, I was like, okay, so you got the lie chart. And ultimately, they were trying to bring in the lie chart. And the judge was like, maybe you can, maybe you can't. I'm going to think about it. And they were like, never mind, Your Honor. We're just going to use it in closing statements because she is a super-duper lying-ass liar. And we're going to prove it. And I was like, okay. And then the defense attorney got up. And I was like, Mr. Defense Attorney, you have asked some very, very good questions, and you have made this little sad sack of a lead investigator look crazy. Now look, when the state was up there, they were like, just the facts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The defense team got up there and was like, hey girl, hey, we about to rip you to shreds. You see me in my slick, shiny suit. I would be chewing gum and have my hair slicked back, but the judge don't allow that. So I'm just going to bring all my slick attitude here to this cross-examination. Please know, I understand that it is the defense attorney's job to poke holes in the case. And this dude is an excellent hole poker. He poked holes everywhere. But then the state came back and filled them back up. But let me tell you about some of the holes he poked. He was like, hey, were you always the lead investigator on this here crime? And the little sad lead investigator was like, no, I was not. I was like, why does he have to be so nervous? And he was just like, okay, the former dude, what was his name? Detective McLeod, Mr. McLeod. Wasn't Mr. McLeod a dirty cop? I was like, oh, say every single thing because I want to know. Didn't he get arrested and convicted or charged or whatever with kitty diddling? Was he a Pedialyte? Did he unfortunately unalive himself right there in the police station? Didn't he have an actual relationship with somebody in the station? Wasn't your name included in the actual relationship report? And I was like, get out of here. Now, if you listen to what just the defense attorney said, the defense attorney made it sound like that Officer McLeod, the first lead investigator on this case, was a police officer. He was having an affair with the current lead investigator. And then he diddled some kids. And then he unfortunately unalived himself. That was the impression that I was left with. And I was like, oh. And then the defense attorney was like, also, didn't he instruct you to delete an email that had an attachment? And I was like, okay, well, what was in the email? And so the little sad lead investigator was like, yes, he did. She was looking real super duper sad. But the defense attorney left us with the clear impression that there was an intimate, inappropriate relationship between the former lead investigator, who unfortunately unalived himself, and the current lead investigator. And I was like, everybody dirty. Everybody is dirty. And then the badass prosecutor got up there and was like, don't you worry about it, girl. I'm about to clear all of this up. I was like, oh, this case is now suddenly full of holes. And one by one, the prosecutor was like, don't you worry about it. I'm going to go point by point, situation by situation, and I'm going to fill all of these holes back in. She's like, okay, you are the current lead investigator. Did you know this dude way back in the day when he investigated this? And the little sad sack and current lead investigator was like, I didn't know him. And she was like, okay, what happened between you and this Mama Luke? Because clearly he was garbage. And she was like, okay, see, what had happened was we were friends. And I thought we was cool. And then he forcibly kissed me and he groped me inappropriately in the police station. And she was filled with shame and she was sad. And I was like, wait. So this current investigator was a victim of the former lead investigator. Also, all of this stuff happened 16 years after this case was investigated. And I was like, oh, I'm getting a very clear picture. Mr. Too Slick by Half, defense attorney, was trying to make it sound like you over there Oochie and the Coochie of the dead dude. I mean, when he was still alive, of course. But now what we see is you were harassed and assaulted by this man, and now you're on during the course of a trial, you're being forced to defend yourself and bring up what was probably a shameful and embarrassing situation that happened due to no fault of your own. You were friends with a colleague. That colleague went too far with you, and now that's your fault. The defense attorney is trying to make it like it's your fault. Mr. Defense attorney, you feeling a whole lot like a scumbag to me. This woman was a victim of actual assault, and you making that, okay. You gonna ask what she was wearing? Was she wearing her sexy police uniform that day? Sarah, I'm gonna need you to get your whole act together. And I was just like, okay. Thank you very much, Mrs. Prosecutor, for filling in all the holes that dude has poked. Now, this is what I really wonder. Are there people on the jury who only heard there was an inappropriate relationship and this and that? Did they not hear or absorb the fix, right? Where the state's attorney fixed all the little holes that got poked. I'm fascinated by this case because we already know that like local sentiment and the way things move in the community obviously have a strong bearing on how these cases turn out. And last week we had a lot of real crazy verdicts that were wildly unexpected to me. And based on the strength of that, I wonder if Nichole and her guilty behind, because she feel guilty in my spirit. I think she get off. I don't know. This is a largely circumstantial case, and it's an uphill battle on both sides, in my opinion. I'm riveted. And so then after the state got up and cleared up all the holes that were poked by the defense, and let me tell you, they didn't just clear up some of them, they cleared up every single hole. They did an excellent job, in my opinion. I'm not a local to this. I can't even find this place on the map. So, you know, I'm not going to be on a jury trial. I'm just a big mouth lady over here in New Jersey talking about this crime. Anyway, so then the state rests. And I was like, okay, now look, I was in chat over there at the Recovery Addict, and the jury of people on Recovery Addict were very divided. Now, they thought that some people thought the state proved their case. Some people thought no. It was like a 60-40 split, something like that. In my opinion, I think the state has proved their case already, but you're supposed to think the state proved their case when the state sits down. When the defense gets up, then you hear like all of their evidence, and maybe you change your mind, maybe you don't. So then, hang on. Oh, my throat is parched this morning. That little amphibian has come back to stay, apparently. Anyway, so the defense gets up and they start their case in chief. And the judge is like, look, it's getting late in the day. I don't have time for none of y'all mess. You better have a witness ready to go because you know I told you have some witnesses. And the defense attorney was like, yeah, Your Honor, yeah, I got him right here. That dude is too slick. Anyway, they come in and they're like, okay, we're going to bring in this former FBI dude, and he's very, very F and B and I, and he investigated all the things and whatever. And I was like, okay. And so the FBI dude basically gave all this evidence and gave all his opinion or whatever. At the end of the day, his point was this: she could have did it, or somebody else could have. And I was like, okay. He gave a whole bunch of different examples. He's like, I think it's unlikely, but it could have been her. And I was like, why'd y'all put this dude up here? I mean, yeah, he said some of the evidence that the state had was not really, really solidly reliable. But even the FBI dude was like, she could have done it. Here's the thing. The defense team harped on this dude, Tyler. Tyler was like, I would never, when Cold Justice came to town, Tyler got interviewed and he was like, I would never I would never stab somebody to death. And then he goes on to say, especially not her. But Cold Justice cut out the especially not her part. And I was like, that's curious. Cold Justice, why y'all do that? Now, I have every faith that the state's gonna get up and clear that up, but we're gonna find out. We also found out that Tyler one time, when a girl rejected him, drew a terrible picture. It was like, I imagine a stick figure where he like stabs this girl in the eye and in the crotch and whatever, and drew like blood or whatever. And I was like, that's horrible. But then the state was like, right. How old was he when he drew this picture? Oh, he was in elementary school. Okay. We also found out later in the day that the FBI dude went on the Facebook and did some research about this Tyler and was like, oh, he's a creepy dude. He made some Christmas cookies that were shaped like knives and they had blood coming off of them. He had some questionable behavior. And I was like, can Christmas cookies be used against you in a court of law? You have a right to remain silent. Any cookies you put on Facebook may be used against you in a court of law. I call slander justice for Christmas cookies. Now listen, is it unusual to make Christmas cookies that are shaped like knives? Yes, but maybe they were Halloween cookies. Maybe he was doing a Halloween themed Christmas. I know people who do like a Barbie tree or a fashion tree or a food tree. Maybe he did a horror themed tree. I don't know. I'm not making excuses for this dude. I'm just saying you're going to use somebody's Christmas cookies against them in a court of law. Seems shady to me. And then they started throwing shade at Kelly Ziegler. Kelly Ziegler from Nichole Justice. They're like, wasn't she found to be doing some bad prosecutorial things? And there's an argument back and forth about maybe Kelly Ziegler did bad things, maybe she didn't. We're going to find out more today. And I'm like, y'all, this case is spicy. Now, do all these people talk too slow? Yeah. Real slow. And that real slick prosecutor, y'all, I think he thinks he's cute with these pregnant pauses. He makes real long pauses. But to me, as a coastal elite, I'm like, can he hurry up? Nobody got this kind of free time. Sir, are these people paying you by the hour? Let's get it moving. Just talk. He's like, Your Honor, I'm not sure if I have a question. I'm thinking about it. I want to conk him upside his head. I mean, not like in the assault kind of way, but in the, can you please hurry it up kind of way, sir? Dang. This defense attorney annoys the fire out of me, but he's a good defense attorney. Now listen, if I unfortunately unalived somebody, I want him on my team, but I'm not in the business of unfortunately unaliving people. I mean, possibly their character on YouTube, but not in real life. I doubt that this dude is even watching this, but if he is, let me give him some notes. Number one, maybe be less slick. Your brother too. Also, hurry up. Okay. Listen, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I will be back tomorrow with more true crime. Bye.